The spirit of pirate seeks me out. It seemed as though the spirit of pirates, past and present, repeatedly sought me out that strange and magical summer, and always at the farmer's market. On my birthday, I'd just finished my shopping and was walking home through the park when a dazzlingly handsome stranger came up to me and said, "Happy birthday, pirate." I was dumbfounded. Who in the hell was he? And how did he know that A, it was my birthday, and B, people had begun calling me the pirate? I have a great memory for beauty, am old, not dead, and I knew I'd never met him before. What was I, the Harry Potter of piracy? Could I actually be experiencing real magic? I knew the hallucinations weren't real, but this was happening as I bought organic carrots. A Jungian psychoanalyst I know commented, "The archetype came looking for you." Jung understood meaningful coincidences. Archetypes are symbols that recur in every culture. We all have an element of one or more of them, from the sage, innocent, and explorer to the magician, hero, or outlaw. Pirate is a variation on both hero and outlaw, one that fit me like a glove. Immediately it became an alter ego, a voice, a walk, a character came to me instantly, and an old unwanted one fell away. I'd unconsciously absorbed my father's cowboy archetype in the cradle, those solitary heroes in the Western mythology of TV of my youth, who ride in to save a town, then ride away, always alone and solitary. Hey, pirates had a crew, Jolly Jack and Jill Tars, with companions who guarded your back. Our stories and archetypes have the power to change our lives. I finally decided, when I couldn't figure it out, the entire farmer's market and I must have been together on a ship centuries ago. They took one look at me and said, "Capinel, you look a great deal different, lassie, but we'd recognize you anywhere." But why had the archetype come to me so insistently in the first place? I was musing over that, wondering just what the archetype of pirate even means, when I felt a powerful sense of presence, a warm, fierce, yet tender and clearly piratical masculine energy, and heard this answer. The spirit of pirate is first and foremost about freedom. It comes to those who seek their own truth, who stand up to authority, fight for what's right, who are willing to do battle with those who would tell you what you can do or be. This can be a perilous and lonely journey. The spirit of pirate emerges to help and guide the seeker along their chosen path, to aid people in living life lustily with gusto. Love your life and your loves. Enjoy laughter often, as well as music, song, and dance. You never know when it'll all be over. This strange series of events began to make some sort of sense. I'd fought the very worst enemy of all, addiction, and freed myself from a prescription drug and the doctors who believed in medicating normal. I began writing about the experience, hoping to deter others from spending 20 years disabled by a drug French studies showed harmed 75% of those who took them. That's a feature, not a bug. I dressed extravagantly and opulently to suit my mood and my character that day. After 2 decades of wearing PJs, clothing had become costume, like playing dress up for adults. I spoke my truth and told my story often. After 20 years of being silenced, the words came bubbling out like champagne. I began writing a blog and informed people frequently about benzo harm on Facebook. I also went back to the activism of my youth. At 15, I had led a high school march against the Amchitka bomb blast the same year Greenpeace began. My first rally in 30 years was for climate justice. I joined 4,000 people in Vancouver and 6 million people worldwide in the fight to save our planet. I'd found my freedom and wanted to help change the world. By the measure I just heard, both my parents were pirates. Mom wore extravagantly beautiful jewel-bright suits to city council to protect the environment. Dad fought for workers' rights, pensions, and benefits, and both followed their hearts, their instincts, and their dreams, gathering wonderful companions to help them on their way. Our home was a hubbub of energy union meetings and parties, with teamsters, writers, radio personalities gathering often. Always there was action to be planned, politics to be discussed, jobs to be fought for, and lakes to be saved. The world to be changed for the better. It was the perfect incubation vessel to mix and blend the alchemical formula that would create a baby pirate. Birth of baby pirate. I was born 3 months early as the result of a car accident in the wrong city and wrong hospital. I was supposed to have been born in Vancouver General like my mother before me, with her mother and trusted doctor in attendance. Instead, my parents drove to Saskatoon so Dad could show off his beautiful new wife and adorable baby-to-be. A drunk came out of nowhere and hit our car head on. Seatbelts hadn't been invented in the 50s, and if it wasn't for an enormously fat teamster in the front seat, my existence would have been terminated prematurely as we sailed through the window to our demise. It's a miracle I'm alive, and I bless all goddess-sized people for saving my tiny life and that of my mother. However, I was no longer happy with my housing anymore and decided to emerge early to complain to the management. My mother, of course, disliked that notion, wanting her mother in Doctrine City, so we had our first battle of wills. I'm coming out. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Sadly, I won and emerged into Saskatoon 3 months prematurely with no preemie care. Now, most babies come out of the womb pretty mellow. I came out ready to fight her feet to see what the hell I had to do and what was going on, my body filled with the fear of my terrified parents. Our car was totaled. We didn't get a penny, as the drunk who hit us was the son of the town's mayor. I think that's why I later became near phobic about rich people. One of them tried to kill me in the womb. All I had was a pair and a half of booties to my name, and my poor father had to buy a complete layette as Mom labored to birth me. Fortunately, a nice saleswoman at Eaton's knew just what he needed. My mother got her fear under control. Most mothers in the 50s chose sedation, but my mom was determined to have natural childbirth and had trained for it like she was going to compete in the Olympics. I popped out in record time, just under 4 hours and well under 5 pounds. But a violent birth made me highly sensitive, hypervigilant, and just a trifle nervous. The world hadn't seemed to welcome me. Quite the opposite. But my family did. I was a loved and wanted child. My father doted on me, knowing how close he'd come to losing me. Dad even held me as he ate, not wanting to put me down, holding me with one arm and the fork in the other. He had a tiny diary in which he wrote down my every coo and gurgle. He even took one feeding a night and was thrilled to learn I fell asleep the fastest, the closer to his heart I was. My grandparents, too, loved me dearly, all the more so for my dangerous beginning in life. My great aunt, however, took one look at my skinny little preemie body and said, "She looks like a plucked chicken." I grew up tiny and stunted for some years, as trauma had given me an allergy to cow's milk, which they didn't realize for some time. In spite of my tumultuous entrance into life, I had a strange, unique, and wonderful childhood. Mom's singing would scare children and small animals, so my father sang cowboy songs to his daughters in the cradle. He knew he had to raise strong daughters. We all know the words to El Paso and other cowboy songs where people are riding away from 5 mounted cowboys while being shot at. Many die in a hail of gunfire. But I swear all those messages were lurking in my subconscious, increasing my babyhood hypervigilance, as did the death threats I received in the cradle, Dad's being a union organizer. Because of that, all the little Lawson girls were trained by age 2 to deal with kidnappers. Now, that wasn't scary or traumatizing. Mummy Pirate managed to make it like a game, almost fun. She'd say, "Now, this will never happen, dear, but we'd like to be prepared, just like the Boy Scouts. Now, what do you do if you see a bad man coming? Run and scream and run and scream and run and scream. And if a bad man grabs you by the arm, punch up, then run and scream." You can imagine what a 2-year-old fist would connect with if it punched up. And darling, if the very worst should happen and a bad man is going to push you off a cliff, and Mummy would be so very sorry to lose her eldest daughter, but there's something you could do to make her feel so much better. What is that, dear? I don't know. I'm only 2. You do, sweetheart, you do. We practiced and you did it so well last time. I know. Take him with me, Mummy. A Lawson family credo. If I'm going down, you're going down with me. She offered similar advice when I planned to move in with my boyfriend at 23. If he ever hits you, dear, conk him over the head with the nearest large, heavy object. Let him wake up in the elevator and then have the locks changed. Take no prisoners or walk the plank, laddie, was inevitably the advice of Mummy Pirate. Dad's was negotiate if possible, then shoot your way out, verbally, if you must. All terrific training for a tiny pirate in what was later to be the fight of my life.